Barcelona water. Yeah, a little bit sulfur aroma, to not say fecal aroma. And yes, very strange. I never drink Barcelona water. I always drink bottled water because I like to live dangerously, but there's a limit of dangerosity in Barcelona. It's very, very heavy and mild compared to the water I would drink. Very good. But you see, can imagine to do espresso coffee with this water will change completely the espresso coffee compared to a clean water from bottled water, and depending where it came from, this water. So you can imagine on sake the impact of water, or maybe you can't imagine because water is like a bit the terroir of sake. We always play with that, talking about yeast is the terroir of sake. Water maybe are the sake terroir. Let's see. We will talk about that. Hello, Nicolas.
Hello, Monsieur François.
So, how's your water?
Quite flat, but it's not so bad.
It's a bit of alcohol. Yeah. Last master class we've been talking about yeast, about sake terroir. Is yeast or the sake terroir? If you missed that, you can go on our Sakegraphy community space on Tanaka 1789 xchartier.com web to see the video of the masterclass, or only read the text. You should go read the text first because there's a lot of more information. There's the masterclass, 30-minute masterclass goes so fast. So, and the text report is very deep about the yeast and a lot of graphic that we didn't show during the masterclass that could help to understand all those so crazy number, because his number is could be a little bit lazy and bad just about reading about numbers. So today we will talk about water. Before, just want to tell you this Saturday 21 at 11 a.m. Barcelona time, there will be Sake on air. Will be all day. Sakeonair.com. This is a broadcasting web who do a lot of impact about web, about sake, about everything. And I'm invited there to talk about sake, how sake is seen in Spain and Europe and in the world. I'll be there with Pablo Alomar from Alomar Salvioni, which is our importer in Spain and Portugal. But more important than that, is a huge sake master. And I will be also with Ruben Paul from is the sommelier, amazing sommelier from Disfrutar restaurant in Barcelona. So we're gonna be the three of us just chatting for 50 minutes how we see the sake evolving and outside of Japan. So, but let's go back to water. So water, yes, water, which could be which is a nourriture. Huh? It's a food for yeast. It's a food for sake, more to be just a liquid. So I will let Nicolas to go on. Each time on our masterclass, there's one leader and one who just getting all the way when there's any question or any interrogation. So Nicolas will lead this one today because he's been writing amazing report on water. So I didn't know he drink water at all. I never seen him drinking water, but let's see today how he goes with that. So go ahead, Nicolas.
Thank you, François. Yeah, the water was quite a strange subject, in wine and wine industry where I come from, we are not talking about water. And in sake, water is so important. You just need to know to produce 1 liter of sake, you need more or less 30 to 40 liters of water. We are talking about like every step of the process, you need to use water. That means just for growing rice need a lot of irrigation, then to clean all your tools, of course, to every step, you got to the cooking step, you got the washing step, then when you're going to produce, you're going to use water. So when you start learning about sake really quickly, you are like, you got this word water coming a lot, and it was curiosity to learn more about this, of course.
And remember, I will do a link with that. I know you want to talk of that later, but when we talk about water and sake making, 30 to 40 liter of water to do 1 liter of sake. Remember that there's no water in sake rice, but there's a lot of juice and wine grapes. So we don't need to add water in a wine. We'll be like, oh my God, don't put water in your wine. But you don't need to do that. And sake is quite different because it's rice, completely different. Brewing about rice is like beer. Mostly, let's say that comparison, we need water to do beer. So go ahead, Denis.
Exactly, that's the same of the espresso story you said. You know, you need this water to get your espresso, so that's a really important part to make a coffee. When we are talking about water, we're gonna say there is two main categories to understand it. It's hard water and soft water. So hard water is called kosui in Japanese, and that's gonna help to get fast fermentation. Soft water, natsui, is gonna help to get slow and difficult fermentation. We're gonna talk to this more after. Hard water, what is this? Usually people say when you got a lot of calcium and magnesium, this is hard water. So soft water is when you get low calcium and low magnesium. But I think like in sake, we need to take care of more minerals. You can just not think about calcium and say, okay, it's hard. We got so many minerals, we're gonna see it after, like iron, we need to take care of it. And that's really important. So that's the main base we need to take care of it.
And Japan is a long, it's a long country with 80% of the surfaces are mountain, 80%. So that's mean different kind of soil, different kind of climate from the north to the south. So some climates get a lot of snow, water melting in the spring goes out to the soil, goes out to the rocks, goes out to the mother rock. So there's so many diversity, but mostly there's one kind of water is dominated in Japan, but there's a lot of diversity. So different impact on fermentation, transformation, enzyme, and everything about the sake making.
Yes, about this, in Europe, we used to get like hard water. Even like soft water in Europe, it could be like hard water in Japan, just for one reason. You got more limestone in Europe, in the soil, so you got more calcium calcaire, the limestone. Like in Japan, is more volcanic. So usually water is really soft in Japan, and that's why it's really important in Japan. So that's a huge difference between Europe and Japan. The history really quickly about water. So it starts since a long time. But in sake, the first time they talk about the importance of water to making sake, it was in 1840. Really quickly, the story, we are in Hyogo, so that's the south of Japan. We are near Kobe.
This is a very interesting story. Listen that because I think it's a fundamental story about how the water had an impact in Japan sake making, and now it had changed the sake story.
Yes, and this kura is called Sakura Masamune, perdona. It's still existing now, so if you can still trying the sake. The owners, the Toji and the Kuramoto, used to get like two kura producing two sake and just 8 kilometers difference. And he always really prefer like one of his sake. He was made with Miyamisu water. So he said, okay, I want to produce the same quality of sake in the other one in 8 kilometers. So he tried to put the same toji, to use the same rice, exactly the same in everything, just the water was changing. And step after step, he understand like the water was so important because when he brings the water for the first kura to the second one, he achieves the same quality. The difference was like Miyamisu water is a hard water, and in the other one, it was soft water. So that was the first time like people try to understand how it works, water, how important it is about sake producing and how it's going to impact our sake. So that's how, if you heard about Miyamisu water, it's like really famous in Japan because it was the first one and the most important knowledge about water. It was in 1840, and now it's still continuing. And the opposite way, if we are going to Hokkaido, that's really the north of Japan. I'm going to show you a map just here. So the north of Japan, Hokkaido is really soft water because, as said François, is a lot of snow, it's cold, and it's really pure water. So the problem for them, it was like how to produce sake with soft water, because we said it, water is like the food for fermentation. You give minerals to fermentation. So more minerals you got, more food you give, and more your fermentation is going to be strong. So that's
That,
really,
that
yeah,
was, sorry, Nicola, that was the thought at the time, that they need absolutely a rich and mineral water. But then they discovered that maybe not always the case.
exactly. That's how sometimes people just adapt to the terroir, adapt to what they get. So you are in Hokkaido and you want to produce sake. You got two choices. You produce sake with your own water, or you just produce soshu or another thing because you can't produce the sake. So it was like a kura in Hokkaido. He tried to use the soft water, but he changed his process to adapt himself and adapt his sake to the soft water. How he made it? Just with low temperature. Using low temperature to get a really slow process, and like the yeast gonna eat step by step and process the fermentation. The revolution was so huge because if you know a little bit of sake, when I'm talking about low temperature fermentation, soft water, we are talking about ginjo. That's
Yes.
really like the ginjoka aroma that you get. We come back always with watermelon, apple, pineapple, a little bit of banana. And that was the first time this kind of aroma arrived and was achieved. And that's just because one man want to adapt himself to his soft water and the terroir.
And we talk a lot about, and we read a lot in books and magazine and web, that the Daiginjo revolution was in 1980. For sure, that was maybe the second revolution, but the first real one was there early 1900s, with this guy who decided to use a soft water and have create this new kind of sake at that time.
And that's quite amazing because now it's like normal, but at the beginning it was a really a true revolution. If you if you are just over there, I think you can see my mask. Here we are in Kobe, in Hyogo Prefecture, and here you got Kobe, and this is where we are talking about Miyamizu water. So just here you got like up 8 kilometers difference, and that's how the water was so different. So that's we are talking like 8 kilometers, 10 kilometers. We're not talking like about a huge distance. Water is really important. Water, you can find it in rain, you can find it, yes, from the snow. You can also find it with tap water, but we're going to see it why tap water is quite hard to use. Here you get the perfect example of three different kind of water. You got Yozaki and Nishinomiya. That Nishinomiya, this is Miyamizu water, okay? Yozaki was the second kura that the very famous Toji used to get.
Yeah.
It's 8 kilometers. And the other one, we are just a little bit more on the north. We're like 50 kilometers on the north, near Kyoto. And you can see a lot of difference with this. And with tap water, you can find in Tokyo. We are talking just after about different minerals, but you can see the hardness. Look how hard it is to get like the Miyamizu. This is 157. That's really hard water. Usually we say hard water is 80. More than 80 is going to be hard water. So you can see really the difference and the impact is the water in this kind of case.
And you see the amount of iron and tap water. With iron is could be so bad for sake. So it's like the ennemi numéro un, ennemi public of sake. So
exactly. And if you use tap water now, so you can use natural water, but you can use tap water. And now we know how to, example, iron. Iron is really bad for sake. So you can just use like osmosis and aeration, and you can take it off the iron. So now we know the process, how to adjust our water to the kind of sake we want. But before...
I'm sorry, do we know, Nicola? I never seen numbers of what's the percentage of kura who use tap water today? But tap water, that they filter, they do aeration, osmosis, carbon finding, everything to have the perfect water and with the perfect amount of mineral that they are looking for. Do we know that? Is there any numbers about that?
Just thinking. No,
huh?
I didn't see any number about this. First, maybe to control is a little bit hard. I think so. But then I think Japan and water is like crazy story. They really love water, so they got like analysis of everything. So maybe looking if my Japanese is better, one day I can understand this.
We will find maybe we can find that. I will be very curious about that. Okay.
So you got all these different water all around Japan. That's quite impressive and amazing. And of course, we told you like minerals get impact. And here we try to help you to find example of impact now. Like calcium. Calcium, this is the acidity. We're gonna write, the next article is gonna be about shubo. Shubo, this is a yeast starter. This is how we're gonna say you can define the shubo to give the structure to your sake. And this is mainly acidity. So that's really important when you are working handcraft to get acidity when you are starting to produce your sake. And calcium, this is one of the key. So if you look, if you go back, if you are looking, calcium is really important in all the water. That's a really important factor. Miyamoto water get a lot of calcium inside. Calcium is one of the main factors.
What's one of the good thing at Tanaka Shuso, the brewery in Miyagi, where we do the project Tanaka 1789 at Chartier, there's a good amount of calcium and magnesium. So, and as we didn't know before, they know, but we Nicola and I didn't know before doing the project. But that's one of the reasons why Tanaka do already some very strong Junai sake. And that's one of the reasons also when we had changed the path 10 different paths for the production, elaboration of sake that we asked them to change for our own sake, different sake that then we blend. We get acidity as we look for. And there's a very good yeast development in koji to get this acidity also. So the water have an impact also on what we are doing. So it's quite interesting.
It's absolutely like, as we used to say, no, sake process is really, really complex because a lot of steps, and also you got three main products to make sake. We used to say it's koji, rice, and water. So just with water, the impact is so important. So then we can imagine the other one, and that's what this is, a complex but amazing world in a way. So we can find other minerals, really important, like sulfites. You used to get this. Usually when you get minerals, it's like in life. If you get just the good numbers, that's really positive. If you get too much or not enough, it's gonna be like more complicated to use. And we go back to the two, we're gonna say ennemi public. Number one is iron and manganese. Iron, this is gonna with acid amine, with the umami used when you are with acid amine when you are producing sake. Iron and acid amine could make a kind of reaction both together, and it's gonna affect the color and the taste, a kind of reaction de Maillard.
Could be interesting, Nicolas. Can you go back to the
Yeah.
slide just before? Yeah, okay. You see the calcium and Nishinomiya is 51, so it's a milligram per liter. And Miyagi, at where we do our sake, we're at 62, just to show you. So it's very hard water, very rich in calcium and magnesium. Let me find magnesium. I got manganese. No, did I have magnesium here? I'm not sure. But just to show you about calcium, it's so important. Yeah, it's more or less the same, very high, and magnesium over 10. Yeah, so 10.5. So very interesting. And some phenols also. Phenols, so that's mean the sulfur, phenols and sulfur family will get a crunchy and aromatic sake. So everything helped to go where we were going with our idea before even putting our feet in Miyagi, and even before knowing about that. So it's interesting. Yeah.
And iron, as we just say before, as you can see, the difference between tap water and we're gonna say water to produce sake, there is really, really low iron. No, any what iron is really bad usually, and that's really what we try to take it off.
Just with you, I like to talk about our own experience. It's not to talk about Tanaka, it's just about we have all our own experience in life. We need to share that. And we made age our sake 13 months in that. But I remember after 3 months, I know it from the start, especially after the third month, that we can let the sake goes and tanks, because it got the body, got the complexity, the type of aroma, the first aroma that will evolve in a good way to make a sake that could age a long time in bottle after that, like a vaccine against oxygen. But I was scared about iron content. I didn't know what iron content was our sake, because it do too much iron, too much contact with oxygen will get changing the color very fast. So we ship bottle directly to a lab in Bordeaux with Pascal Châtenay, who I'm working with since many years, and from Lab Excel, and I asked him to do an analyze, and he say, which analyze? So many analyze possible. I say, iron, Pascal. I want to know more, everything, but especially about iron. So when we get the analyze, we're very happy because the iron was very, very low. So it was confirming the way we've been working, the water we've been working with, and at the end, not too much iron in our sake, so no problem of oxidation, good oxidation in the tanks before going in bottles. So there will be no premature changing of color with time, because Nicolas talks a bit about reaction de Maillard just before. If there's a premature, we see that in English?
A start.
Yeah. Fast changing of color. Sorry, I'm French speaking. I'm from Montreal. I live in Barcelona, but I'm French speaking. So a faster change of color than normal. This always come with a change of aroma. So an aroma of reaction de Maillard, so nutty caramel like curry aroma. But I like that in a Koshu sake was being aged 3 years in vat, but our sake is not a Koshu. I don't want to smell that in my sake right now. So it's very interesting. You see, again, going back to impact of water.
Water also explain a lot of civilization. Usually in the world, people was looking for water and river to stay, and also that's explain the development of sake. We used to say like the sake birds, this is all this part around Yogo, and if you can just have a look, this is always hard or middle hard water, really really good to produce sake. And so even without knowing this, since 2000 years ago, like people get instinct, and it was working like that. That's always something curious and amazing sometimes.
Yes, exactly.
So if we need to talk about really quick conclusion about water, if we can do it in 2 lines. So if we got some hard water, so really with a lot of minerals, without irons, of course, we're gonna get a rich texture of water. So just in mouth, you can try it. Usually you just go to supermarket, you take hard water, soft water, and you try it. You always get more texture in hard water. So of course, this texture, you're gonna find it inside your sake at the end. So in the fermentation, we're gonna have like a rapid and quick, vigorous fermentation. That's gonna be good in a way, because like this, you're gonna secure your fermentation. If your fermentation is fast, you're going to control easily which kind of bacteria you got inside. So that's really positive. And when you are making with fast and strong fermentation, you're going to also finish your fermentation. It's not going to stop. So at the end, you're going to have a drier sake, a richer sake, and usually more umami, because you give more nutriment, more food to the yeast.
So that's been John my more style.
Exactly. And at the reverse, in the soft water style, so this is usually this kind of water. This is what we used to drink. This is really refreshing water, really easy. You're gonna have a slow fermentation, nearly difficult, but that's gonna be gonna give you like an aromatic flavors development, and that's gonna be more ginjo style. Usually ginjo, we used to say, oh, this is really elegant, light structure, refreshing, aromatic, and sometimes usually a little bit sweet. Because usually if you don't finish your fermentation, you keep a little bit of sugar inside and you get this sensation. So the water is really a kind of structure of your sake, and that's really important. It's not just only water.
It's funny, the impact is similar. I'm just thinking of that on beer. And when the publicity since years of Guinness beer, it is hard water. It's very dry in mouth. Guinness, very dry, very food. It's hard water. It is. So it's got a similar impact on the fermentation and on the malt transformation.
Yes, and to try to answer to your first question, like water is the terroir of sake. I think we can say yes in a big way, because we talked to this like now 3 months ago about like a geographical indication. In Japan, there is not a lot about sake. There is only 6. And Yamagata and Akusan, for example, they are saying, okay, the rice can come from all around Japan. It's not only from Yamagata or only from Akusan prefecture, but the water need to be used need to come from the prefecture. The water cannot come from Hokkaido or whatever. So if you want to come inside the indication to be protected, you need to use local water when the rice comes from outside. So it's a little bit like, yes, in wine. So like even for Japanese culture, water is really important, and that's, I think, a part of the terroir and the kind of sake you want to produce.
Yes, and it's I lose what I wanted to say to just to the conclusion about that. Yes, the impact of all the top sake master of the world, especially in Japan, knows that on a blind tasting, it's even impossible to know which kind of rice have been used to do the sake. When you talk after, say, oh, this is a Yamada Nishiki rice. Oh yeah, this should be amazing sake. Why? But how come we cannot discover the rice on a blind tasting? There's not much people can do that. I don't know, the real ones say, no, it's impossible. To know about the yeast, to know about the water, this about the yeast, you can have an idea where we are going. Water, mostly. A lot of the sake experts know this should be a sake from Hokkaido, from Kobe, they will understand why, because this give already kind of basic profile of the sake from that cura, from that prefecture, like in Miyagi, what they are doing, not we, what they are doing in Miyagi at Tanaka. All the sake are mostly strong sake. And why? Because they are the water, the way they are working. So it's very interesting, the impact. So is water, is terroir? We don't know. But surely have an impact on the idea of trying to find the terroir of sake with the S, plural terroir, because there's no terroir like anything in the world.
And it could be more and more in the next years, because more and more geographical indication going to be created, more legislation around this, and more the water going to be important. So more and more, I think it's my point of view, but more and more people going to define the style of the region using this, and it's going to be a little bit easier to get like the aromatic profile and what they are looking for in this kind. It's, remember, like a little bit in France, when you get a Sancerre, you get a Sauvignon Blanc, it could be this, because this is the idea you are making of Sancerre wine. It's really aromatic, and it's going to be, could be the same in sake more and more to define the style, and water going to be one of the most important points for sure.
So please don't put water in your sake. This is not a whiskey. Please, please, please. Thank you so much, Nicolas. You can go after that. You can go on our sake graphic community on the web. It will be posted like now at 4 o'clock at Barcelona time. So that's mean in 1 minute. The text of this masterclass, but much more complex, much more detailed than what we just now do a kind of a small resume of that text. So you can read that. Nicolas has done an amazing job with that text. I need to see it. And I was just over his shoulder and working with him on that, but he done the great job. Next masterclass of Sakegraphy will be on December 7th. We will have a special guest with us, one of the top sommeliers. We won't tell you now. We will let you know as soon as possible. We will have a nice talk on maybe matching sake and food or different things linked to that. If we have a sommelier, what else can we talk about tasting and all of that? And don't forget this Saturday, 11 o'clock CET time. So that means 7 p.m. in Tokyo time. Saturday at sakeonair.com. we will do that special chat about sake with two master, Pablo Alomar and Ruben Paul, and we will do a chat there with I forget her name. Well, she will kill me. Yeah, Rebecca. She will be from Sake on Air. She's amazing and know a lot about sake and so much experience. So we're gonna chat this Saturday about that if you have time. But go see it's a summit. Huh? It's a Sake Future Summit 2020. Saturday and Sunday. There's many masterclass each hour with all the top people on sake business. All the one are there. Everyone is invited. So all day long, Saturday and Sunday. So don't miss that. And let's keep in touch, everyone. And thank you so much. Thank you again, Nicola. And kampai with water.
Yeah, it wasn't the best masterclass for this. Thank you.
Arigatou gozaimasu.
Ciao.
Muchísimas gracias. Bye bye.